You're listening to Daybreak right here on 92.5 Fox News, right all along. So the governor's race, the race for the Florida governor, and the gubernatorial race has many people in it. There are quite a few different candidates inside this race. And last week we were in the conversation of one of those conversations, and I spoke of a possible rumor that I heard that Paul Renner might be stepping away from the race. I was immediately emailed, and immediately my boss was phone called by his team, who wanted to rebuttal that and say that is not the case. So joining us now to give it to us straight is Paul Renner. Good morning, Paul. Welcome to the show, and it's great to have you on the show. How you doing today?
Jason, great to be with you. Yeah, I'm not going away. I plan to win, but thanks for having me on.
So let's talk about that real quick. Can you commit right now that you will not withdraw before August?
100%. I'm going to win in August.
Now, what do you say to those who say your polling is less than the rest and you're just clouding the race?
I would say that you just need to wait until August. Right now, all polls show is the name you know, and we see a phenomenal response at the grassroots level. We know internally that when my record is put up against Congressman Donald's, we win, hands down, because I've got a record of proven leadership, 20 years in the military, 2 wars, a prosecutor of violent habitual offenders, and Governor DeSantis called my 2 years leading the House the most successful 2 years in any state, any time in history. And so we have the proven leadership record that we need to continue the legacy of Governor DeSantis. People want a fighter. I've fought the left and won over and over again, and that's what I'll do as governor.
All right, if you do win, what's the first thing you'll do as governor, day one?
Day one is bring down cost, bring down property taxes, bring down insurance, bring down electric bills, bring down health care costs. This has to be the number one priority of the next governor, and that's what I'll do.
Why do you think we haven't got a property tax solution right now in Florida?
Well, that's an excellent question. I would say it's a lack of leadership. The governor himself cannot put a plan on the ballot. And as we speak today, there's not one plan on the ballot to save you $1 in property taxes. And so we've been talking about it. The governor has for a year and a half now. And I proposed a legislative rollback. It's the one thing that can be done through the legislature to give everybody a tax cut right now, temporarily, while we work on a permanent solution to reduce or eliminate, as the governor's called for it, to eliminate property taxes for homestead residents. And so they do not have that plan together yet, and I hope that the House and Senate will come together, but they've got to put it on the ballot by a 60% vote, and then it's got to get a 60% vote in November. And if it fails either of those two, guess what? We're out of luck. We've had our taxes go up in 2025, 26, and then they'll go up again in 27, which is why I called for the rollback, to keep everything in place, give people relief so they're not suffering anymore. But people are literally leaving Florida, leaving their homes because of high cost in insurance, high cost in taxes, electric bills, et cetera.
So speaking of electric, let's talk a little bit about AI, and let's talk about these data centers. A lot of people in Florida have been thinking about these data centers. And exactly what is your stance on data centers and AI regulation?
The data centers better bring their own electricity and their own water. And I say that because everywhere they've been tried, they have increased people's electric rates, and it is absolutely unfair. And I'm running a Florida First campaign. I will not allow the listeners of your show to have their electric rates go up so somebody can bring in a data center next to them. And with respect to water, they use enormous amounts of water. We have an already stressed aquifer in Florida, as you know, with an increasing population, and we cannot allow them to put a big, giant straw into our aquifer without some measures that would allow for that water to be recycled water, or something that's not damaging the water that you and I need to drink, that our farmers need to irrigate their crops.
So at the same time, how do you keep going forward in the advancement of AI? A technology that's growing so quickly that if you don't grab a hold of it, you get left behind.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're going to stop AI. That's not going to happen any more than we stop the internet. But what concerns me is the lack of any concerns about not only what I just mentioned, but also protection for children. We do not want to have an AI bot, and we've seen this. The governor's talked about it. I support his AI Bill of Rights. The House is now opposing that. My opponent, Congressman Donalds, apparently opposes that. We need to protect our kids, and an AI chat buddy cannot become your replacement mom or dad, or worse, your God. And we see how a soulless piece of electronic machinery has led some young people into suicide and really a dark place. And so we really have to think about, and as someone who championed protections for children online with social media, I know what this is all about, and this is another order of magnitude. We have to protect our children when AI is concerned. But look, we're going to have AI, but that doesn't mean we need to dot the landscape of Florida with those data centers. Those data centers can be a number of different places, and I don't think Florida is the right spot for them.
So as you enter the race here, and you're in the race, and you're doing it, fundraising is a big part of it. Byron Donalds, way ahead of everyone else in the race. How do you plan on catching up to get to that level when it comes to fundraising, or do you think fundraising doesn't matter when it comes to campaigning?
Oh, it matters, and I'm way ahead of everybody else in the race. So last quarter, we outraised every single Republican and every Democrat combined, not named Byron Donalds. And so this is a two-person race, and why I appreciate you bringing me on the show. Not only am I not going away, this is ultimately going to become a race between me and Congressman Donalds, and that is in part because of fundraising, but it's also because of a record of leadership that none of the other candidates have, proven leadership under pressure, delivering results. If you look at the other candidates, what have they done in their time in office? And also point to Amendment 3 and 4. Who showed up for the fight against pot and abortion? I did. I raised and donated over $2 million. I traveled the state and spoke along with the governor, wrote op-eds. I work to make sure these billionaires from out of state and even out of the country don't jam their personal agenda into our Constitution. I have a record of fighting the left and winning. That's what people want. They don't want to go backwards after Governor DeSantis. All these other candidates sat on their hands. Maybe they sent out a tweet, but they didn't show up for the fight. I've shown up the fight, and I know how to win, and that's what I'll do as governor.
Where do you stand on H-1B visas here in Florida? Should we expand them, reform them, or limit them?
Well, we can't end them at the federal level, but my affordability plan on voterenner.com is no H-1B visas at any level, at the state level. So I will not allow any state employees to be H-1B. I will not allow any state contracts to be H-1B. We have to be Florida first. That's what I'm campaigning on. That means when young people graduate, I want them to have a job. And if we're not getting them out of our great universities and they can't find employment, we need to, look inside and say, what are we doing wrong? And part of what we're doing wrong is allowing the proliferation of these H-1B visas where foreign workers are taking their jobs. I will not allow that to happen. I will put them first.
I love that. I do. I absolutely love that. It's something that I believe in 100%, and you're speaking my language there. If you're just tuning in right now, we are on the phone with Paul Renner, running for governor. Let's talk. What did you think of the State of the Union last night and the President Trump's speech?
Well, I thought he did a great job. Listen, the president, thank God, I've been telling people on the campaign trail, if he did not get elected and Kamala Harris were our president for 48 years, I honestly do not believe we would have any country left at the end of that. I believe that's how close we are, which is why we need a fighter, someone who can deliver results. I thought he did a great job. The saddest moment, the most troubling moment, I hope every American saw Democrats sit on their hands at moments that in every other context I've ever seen in politics, people would get up to applaud for a young girl who was injured and almost was told she'd never walk or live again, a 5-year-old girl. They can't do it. They can't stand up for America. They can't stand up for heroes. They can't stand up for anything. They hate it when America wins. And just think about that. That's the fight we're in. And so you can't have somebody who is just more interested in self-promotion. You've got to have somebody who's going to go out and beat the left. And it's what I live for. I believe it's my calling in life. I've defended my country in two wars, my community, and keeping people safe. As a prosecutor, I went after the left and had multitude of victories when it came to ending DEI, pushing back against ESG, affirming life, defending parental rights, you name it, universal school choice, tort reform, protecting kids online. On issue after issue, and many times people said, Speaker, you're not going to be able to beat these guys. Big tech lobbied up to prevent us from protecting kids from online pornography and addictive social media platforms. We beat them, and then they sued us. And so far, we're beating them in court. And so you've got to have somebody who just wants to lean in. This governor has done that. This president has done that. We have to have that. We're in a very, very challenging time as a country, and I mean this with all sincerity. Our opponents, at the end of the day, are the left, and so we've got to beat the...
So, moments ago, you called it a two-person race between you and Byron Donalds, but inside the polling, there's a couple others up there, namely the tech guy, James Fishback. What are your thoughts on James Fishback being in this race with people that have experience and have done great things for our state already?
Well, he came in with a, million person social media following. So he's really a creature of social media. He is speaking articulately to the concerns of younger people. We talked about H-1Bs, but so am I. I want to make sure young people can own a home. My travel aide, who's 23, his generation, he just graduated from UF, believes they'll never own a home. And when you have that, you will listen to people like Zoran Mondami, who promise things that sound so good, but they're just not true. And so a lot of the things he's saying on H-1Bs, for example, I agree with, but he's also saying things that he must know cannot happen or are not true. And so, but unfortunately, people want to hear what they want to hear, and so they're going to skirt past the fact that he's not had a record of proven leadership. He's not had results. Again, where were any of these guys in the fight for Amendment 3 and 4? Where were they when I was helping the governor to fight for common sense conservatives on our school boards in 22 and 24? Again, spending money out of a political committee I don't have to spend as governor, but that's what leaders do, Jason. That's what leaders do. They show up for the fight. They don't show up on the eve of the election. And there's a big difference between a campaign conservative and a true believer. And the voters at the end of the day will smell out at what's authentic from what is a fraud, and we'll have an election based on the issues that I think matter. People want a leader who will fight and win. That is the only person in this race who fits that bill is me.
Did you say all that with your chest out? It sounded like you had your chest out a little bit there, Paul. I just want to let you know.
Well,
it did.
I got that lion pace that when my wife sees I'm pacing the house, so a little bit.
Right.
Swagger.
Right.
We want a little swagger, don't we?
Right. I do, man. I do. I got to say, you came in here today and laid it in, man, and you said that I'm in it to win it, and I'm not going to back out. You said that no matter what, that you're going to enter that. Are you interested in entering the debate with the other candidates?
Any day that ends in a Y. And I will compliment Fishback. He said the same thing. I'm sure he and I and Jay Collins and anybody else will be happy to debate. We owe that to the voters, and I've rolled out a written agenda on voterenner.com. You can read it. I think you owe that to the voters, and we have a fantastic, robust agenda to lower cost, keep people safe, and keep Florida free. I will defend against Sharia law coming into Florida, against Chinese influence in Florida. These AI data centers we mentioned, there's threats that we have to be mindful of that could take away our freedoms, and the left is not going away. These citizen initiatives, they'll be back with another 100 million. Who's going to get out there and fight like Governor DeSantis? I did. The other guys who were around, assuming they were thinking about running for governor, were no-shows. And so we can't have a no-show governor. We have to have a fighter. I'm that guy.
Well, Paul, I really appreciate you being on the show. Paul Renner, ladies and gentlemen, giving it to us right here, live and direct. You were great the first time on the show. You were great this time. Good job, Paul. And we really love listening to you. Your points are strong, and I appreciate the honesty.
Thank you, sir.